Hello there everybody and welcome back to Memory Gamma. Today we are going to continue in the same theme as the previous video. We're going to pick a ship class, pick a name ship, and we're going to go through a couple of possible ideas, possible cards that might work for it, and sort of build it out to a rough shape. Again, this isn't a hard and fast rules, these are simply my suggestions or my ideas as to what is good on a particular ship. As I said last time, there are some cards which are very evidently meant for that ship, i.e. they are locked to that particular class of ship. There are others which are just work quite well, they have similar rules, or they both combo together. So, today we're going to move on from the Federation and we're going to go to the Romulans. And for the Romulans, we are going to take the Scimitar, the Reman Warbird from Nemesis. There are two versions. This is the newer version. We're going to take the ship. So, stat line's already impressive. When they're cloaked, when attacking, you can place an Orc's power token to not decloak. So as long as you keep doing the green maneuvers, or find a way otherwise to clear them, then you can keep firing while cloaked. It's a terrifying ship. The stat line there is enough to make anybody wince. So, things that work well with the Reman Warbird. Well, there are a couple of upgrades which are specific to the Reman Warbird, including things like the secondary shields here, which give you the ability to slowly add shields back onto your ship as they're destroyed. There is several more shield upgrades, ones that allow you to improve cloaking here, ones that allow you to remain cloaked and have your shields up. So that's always a good shout. So you get 7 hull, 4 shields, and now you only have to disable 1 shield to cloak. So you still get 3 shields while cloaked. It just makes you even harder to kill. An upgrade I quite like is this one, the improved cloaking device, which is, as long as you have the cloak action on your action bar, you can still cloak even if you have no shields left, and or if there's an Orc's power token beside your ship. So you can get an Orc's power, be decloaked, and then even with your Orc's power token, you can still recloak again. So I quite like having those two together. There is a couple more upgrades for the Reman Warbird in general, and of course the Scimitar in particular. One of them is the Viceroy, Shinzon second in command. It's a planning phase ability. When you're cloaked, pick an enemy ship at range 1 to 2, you can time token one of the crew members, and if equipped with a Reman Warbird, you can perform a sensor echo action as a free action. Now, that's a very good upgrade. It's no time tokens on him, so he can do that every single round that you're cloaked and he's in range. And he gives you a free sensor echo action when you do this. Now that's important for the Scimitar, it gives you a lot of extra maneuverability. Now we do not have another tech slot on this ship. We can get another tech slot on this ship very easily. The Dominion or Retrofit, which while it doesn't give us any ship-specific upgrades like the Deridex, the Galaxy, the Vorchar get, it is +1 to your shields, which are still up because you're cloaked and you've got improved cloaking, and an extra slot where we can put on the Romulan cloaking device. Now, the Romulan cloaking device is an absolute staple of the current game at the moment. If you run Romulans, you will most probably be running a Romulan cloaking device. If you're running cloaking ships in general, you probably will run a Romulan cloaking device. This works well on Klingon ships if you want to do a whole load of Klingon stuff. It also works well on the few Federation ships that cloak, Keldons, Mirror Universe, and even a handful of cards which you don't even have to be cloaked for sensor echoing. People like the Delta Fly Mark II, which gets a free sensor echo, or Herosian ships, which get the ability to sensor echo as a free action, even though they're not cloaked. This is just a brilliant upgrade in that case, because it gives you a lot of maneuverability, a lot of flexibility. And it also gives you the ability to sensor echo as a free action. Now, the Viceroy gives you that as well. You can't do both actions in the same turn, unless you're a very specific ship, Sailor's Warbird, Deridex. But it gives you the opportunity. because the Viceroy can trigger in the planning phase, and you may perform a Sensor Echo action as a free action. So you can Sensor Echo at the very beginning of the turn before people set dials. Since he triggers in the planning phase, it triggers at the very top of the round. So you go into planning phase, you do the Viceroy, you Sensor Echo, and then you plan your manoeuvres from your new position. It can make it very, very hard for the enemy to anticipate where you're going to be. It can be quite hard to catch the Scimitar. Not entirely sure you want to catch the Scimitar or let yourselves be caught by the Scimitar, but there it is. And if you don't want to do the Sensor Echo, then you can always do your normal move, and then you can Sensor Echo for free with the Romulan cloaking device, with the 1 or 2 bank templates, which is always extremely fun. Ability to move rather than simply sideways, the ability to move in curved forms, either front to back or forward like this. It gives you almost unlimited places where you could be. At the start of the turn, I will guarantee that if you are playing a Scimitar, or even just a Romulan ship, but in this case the Reman Warbird, the Scimitar, and you have the Romulan cloaking device or the Viceroy on board, the enemy will not be able to anticipate where you are going to be, where they want you to be. Now, they might get lucky. Obviously, ships with big firing arcs don't need to worry. 360 fire, that sort of thing. You can always sort of catch the Scimitar somewhere. The Enterprise E especially is quite good for that, as well as Voyager, Enterprise D, anything else with 360 fire. But with the stat line you've got, so 2 defense dice, modified to 6 when you're cloaked, base, as before you had any bonuses. 6 attack dice, which means even without a weapon card, you are able to lay down some serious punishment. And in this mode here, with the Dominion retrofit, you've got 4 shields up while cloaked and a hull of 7. That sounds pretty scary. We've still got a captain space. If we're going for the Scimitar, then there is one option. There are lots of options, to be fair. Shinzon here is the iconic one. He makes a lot of sense. There are both versions of Shinzon here. The original Shinzon is still skill 9, 6 points, talent slot, very cool. And you can pick 4 Romulan talents and have them face down. That only cost you 4 points for the 4 talents. So that could be 20 points of talents if you pick 4 5-point talents, which means at the very least you're getting a 1-point discount, because then they remain face down until you decide, I want to use this one, and then reveal it and pop it and use it. It's a massive amount of flexibility, but it does mean you are paying 10 points in effect for him and his elite talent. Now, you may have done that anyway, and the modern Shinzon encourage you to spend even more, given that he has double talent slots. However, the modern Shinzon is also way more dangerous, in that not only does he have a free action, if you're cloaked, do an additional action on your action bar as a free action, very akin to original Captain Picard that gave his extra own action bar, but also he adds battle stations to the action bar. So now, in this setup, the ship can move, free Sensor Echo, do its normal action, evade or target lock, and then free battle stations with Shinzon. He gets double talent. There's any number of talents that would be brilliant here. The talents are extremely dependent on what you're using. There is no Reman Warbird specific talent. Some of them came with the packs, things like the attack pattern Shinzon Theta. All your crits do 2 damage to the shields during the deal damage step, which is nice if you're going up against the big super defensive, just to make your couple of hits that you've managed to sneak through the super defense really hurt. There's also things like Massacre for bonus damage. Independent would be a good one, especially if this thing's flying a solo mission. It's just passive conversion, both offensive and defensive. I'm not going to go through every single Romulan talent here, because basically this ship works well with practically any talent or no talent. You can put down this ship with just Shinzon and a Romulan cloaking device, and it will do amazing work. Adding extra bits to it, like the improved cloaking, the Viceroy, give it some nuances and give it some bonuses. They're not necessary. The ship is a beast on its own. The absolute final thing, which of course we will need to talk about, is the Thaleron weapon, the Reman Warbird Special. Now, there are two versions here, and I will put my hand up and say that I am probably in the smaller camp of preferring the original. So, the original one, it's a 10-point weapon, so it's expensive, and it's 10 dice, so it's dangerous. It's also... so it's an attack discard, so no target lock required, no battle stations, so good, you can fire this whenever. Instead of doing normal damage, you get to disable, and you get to discard, the captain and crew upgrades on the target ship for every damage you would do. So, you hit the ship, you do 4 damage, instead of doing 4 damage normally, you kill the captain and the admiral if there was one, because you kill the captain, the admiral will flip over, become the captain, and then you kill him as well, and 2 crew, or you could kill 4 crew if there's only 4 crew. If you do 10 damage, then you're going to absolutely strip the ship of all personnel, and then if the captain and all the crew upgrades are destroyed, all the remaining damage hits the ship as normal. Now, it is a discard. There are ways to save discards. You can have Balana's Codes is a good upgrade. It's an independent tech upgrade that when you would discard a weapon upgrade, discard the codes instead. Gives you 2 shots with this. It works really nicely and is quite a horrible combination. The modern version is only 6 dice, but it is range 1 to 3, so you do get some increased range. You can be literally touching the enemy and fire this instead. When you pull the trigger, so when you attack them, before you've done anything, they choose a captain, an admiral, an ambassador, or a crew that they have to discard. So someone dies automatically, even if you completely whiff the attack roll, somebody goes away. And then if you hit, you can cancel one of your crits that you've rolled or have modified into to discard a captain, admiral, ambassador, or crew upgrade of your choice. So it's much, much less effective at stripping the crew away, which is what it's sort of meant to do in canon, but it's a bit more guaranteed. So the original one, it could be, it could be cancelled, but the modern one can be cancelled as well, to be fair. So yeah, but it was a bit more, you're guaranteed to kill somebody in the modern one. You only ever get 6 dice, and you have to get a crit to be able to get the targeted discard. So when I play the Scimitar, if I've got the points and I want to, I will plump usually for the Thaleron weapon, the original one, and then throw a Balana's Codes on board. If I'm doing that, then that's usually the main point of the ship. It's not going for super defense, super maneuverability, longevity. I'm barreling it towards whoever I don't like, and they are getting all of their personnel ripped from the ship very, very quickly. It does have a rear firing arc, the Scimitar, as well, which should be noted, which is almost unheard of in Romulan ships. I think it is just the Scimitar, the Reman Warbird, and the Romulan drone ships that get 90 or any rear firing arcs at all. Everything else is locked to the 90 forward. They rely on manoeuvrability to get places and get to shooting. So if you wanted to, there is weapons you could put that can fire out of the rear. With Shinzon on board, Federation Photon Torpedoes that get all blanks to battle station conversions. They cost 3 points here because of the cross-faction penalty, but you would get 7 dice. And the ability for perfect quality because of Shinzon's free action and the battle stations token that he can give you. So there is something to be said for doing that, cross-factioning. Where are they? Here they are. Here are 7 dice, you do action target lock, free action battle stations, and then you've got a serious firepower which can be out the rear firing arc. That could be quite a nice thing to have. There's also Romulan weapons that give you 360 fire, but they're usually capped on dice. And because you've got that massive primary, having a rear weapon which is based off a primary, such as a photon, is probably a better bet because you can make use of all those dice. But yes, so there are several ways to play the Scimitar, whether you want to play it as a gunboat or play it as a manoeuvrable thing, or with the Viceroy, it can be a little bit of an annoying sort of ganking boat as well. It can flit around the place, time tokening crew and then sensor echoing out of the way. And there's enough actions on this thing. Apologies. There's enough actions on this thing for you to be able to move and do everything you want to do. As I said, you've still got a crew slot as well. So this version comes with double crew, double tech. The Romulan crew, you could have sub commander, gives it just an extra evade token whenever it doesn't do a red. Never a bad shout, although this thing doesn't usually lack for defense. Romulan bridge officer is a nice one. It means you get to place less time tokens on weapons that you're firing. If you're doing these photon torpedoes, it means that you can fire them every single round, because it means you're only a one-time token. Nankless is always a fun one, because you can pick someone to not get defense dice this round, and then you can fire something terrifying at them. Failure on weapon, photon torpedoes, and basically it's a guaranteed way of stripping off all those things off of that ship. Although at that point, you might be better off just blowing them up. At the point, anything that you're doing to the enemy, the whole point is you want to win. You want to destroy the enemy ships or complete the mission objective. And playing around with them and saying you can't do this, you can't do that, can't do that. It's very Romulan. It's very annoying as well, though. Not annoying as in, oh my god, why is he doing that? It's just very annoying and very Romulan, which is exactly the whole point. So having Nankless again is an option, said, or any of the other crew members. B4 is a nice one if you're going to be going up against the Federation or specifically the Enterprise, because there's a whole cascade of things that he can do. But an absolute staple is Tactical Officer here, which is just when you attack, if you're not in their firing arc, their primary firing arc, you add a hit. He's a 4-point card. Just find the right one. He's a 4-point card, which whenever you fire at someone when you're not in their forward firing arc, you get to add a hit. So then when you've sensor record around to the side or behind them, or if you're going up against someone who doesn't have primary firing arcs, a la the Borg, then Tactical Officer is just guaranteed bonus damage every time you pull the trigger. So that's the Reman Warbird. So yes, it's got a lot of very, very cool options. Quite a lot of the upgrades that are good here are the ones that are locked to it. Things like improved cloaking device, improved cloaking, the Theleron weapon, the Viceroy, who's not locked, but he gets the best benefit if he's there. But there are a lot of generic upgrades, things like the Tactical Officer, the Photons, Dominion Retrofit, that would work really, really well here. An honourable mention, shout out very quickly to the Plasma Coil Overcharge, because it means all of your straight manoeuvres all the way up to the 6 become green. So you get your Orcs power token for not decloaking, and then next round you blip a full 6 straight forwards, and you can still clear the Orcs power for doing a green manoeuvre. And you probably open up the range quite a lot, and then you've still got sensor echo. So that's my sort of thoughts and ideas for a Reman Warbird. Thank you very much for joining me, and Jolan Tru.